So we'll be talking about intermittent fasting. Can you explain to a layperson what's intermittent fasting and what are the basics to know about it?
Intermittent fasting is essentially just that, like fasting intermittently. So there are different types. So there's 16:8, there's 5:2. But generally what we see when people talk about intermittent fasting in general, usually they don't eat breakfast. So they start their first meal around noon and then they end at around dinner time. Yeah. So it's essentially skipping a meal. Yeah.
So it's like, get it. If you're just going to tell a layperson that's trying to lose weight, it's like, oh, you can just try intermittent fasting.
I probably wouldn't say that. Because if we're talking about weight loss or fat loss alone, there's only one criteria that someone needs to meet, and that is essentially is a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter how the calorie deficit is created. As long as the person is in a calorie deficit, 100% can lose fat. And the reason why we want to say this is because some people, they go intermittent fasting, but they are not in a calorie deficit. So if you eat the same amount of food that you normally eat in that window, in your eating window, and you're not in a calorie deficit in that time, you're not going to lose any fat.
Is intermittent fasting suitable for everyone?
I would say no, because generally speaking, even when we're talking about the research in intermittent fasting, when we talk about health and fat loss, there's actually no additional health benefit. And if we talk about fat loss, there's also nothing special for fat loss. So then the question comes, does a person even need to do intermittent fasting in the first place? Yeah, so there is a lot of misconception here. So yeah, and usually it's not something that I probably wouldn't encourage, like in general.
Would you say it's just like a trend?
Yeah, I guess definitely it's definitely more of a trend.
Why do you think it's gained so much popularity recently?
I think, okay, one thing is that when people go on intermittent fasting, it indirectly puts them in a calorie deficit. So when they go on it, they do actually lose weight. So they do actually see results. Yeah. So in the short term, they may see it, but I guess long term, what we want to look at is the question is it sustainable for that person? Yeah, because I know I have a lot of clients who go on intermittent fasting, they see good results, but they tell me that they don't like it or it's not sustainable for them.
Side effects.
Yeah, it's not to say side effects, but it's just not suitable for their lifestyle. Yeah. So I guess it is gaining traction because a lot of people are talking about the proposed health benefits from it and also like the fat loss benefits. But generally speaking, when we really look at the research properly, there's actually no unique benefits for health and no unique benefits for fat loss.
Does the sequence of eating certain items first affect that?
No, because again, within this intermittent fasting window, it's not a special protocol in that sense. Yeah, so I would say no, it doesn't matter at all.
For male and female, right? Is there any difference between the effectiveness of intermittent fasting?
No, not at the moment. Not that we see that's anything interesting there.
What are your impressions in general for intermittent fasting?
I think it's unnecessary and there's a lot of misconceptions around it. So yeah, I mean, the most important thing when I work with my clients is, does it suit you? Is it safe? And does it meet your goals? Yeah, these will be the considerations that I go through before I decide whether or not something is suitable for them.
But is there like ideal like intermittent fasting is ideal for a certain thing?
No, not at the moment. We don't see anything in. Yeah.
Like the maybe negative effects of intermittent fasting. What are there?
Usually I would say if someone is active, then they may not be eating enough. If someone is active and training in the morning, sometimes they may be underfueled because if let's say they train in the morning, then they don't fuel up because they're intermittent fasting until noontime, right? So there's a gap there, so that sometimes can have an impact on recovery. The other one is not managing hunger and appetite better. So if let's say someone skips breakfast, and let's say someone is a breakfast person, but you intermittent fast, so you cannot eat breakfast, right? And if they skip breakfast and then they get overly hungry, they may end up overeating at lunch. So if they were to add in a smaller snack or meal or breakfast, that can tie them over to lunch and help them manage their hunger and appetite better. So these are some of the potential considerations. Yeah.
Does it cause any kind of like gastric?
It may if a person is not used to this routine.
What would you say is the best thing to consume during breakfast?
The best things, always a balanced approach. So something protein-based, something carb-based. Yeah. Ideally, some sort of fiber, either fruit or some vegetables. That would be the ideal way to kickstart your day.
There are some like healthy foods, right? That I feel that I put that are not so healthy. Maybe something like, I wonder, avocado toast. Does it? What can you say?
I mean, avocado toast is avocado itself, they have a lot of healthy fats. The only thing about avocados is that it is purely fat. So the whole thing is like can be very calorie dense. So if let's say a person eats a whole avocado, that's easily, depending on what size of the avocado, it could be anywhere between 300 to 500 calories just for the avocado.
What?
Yeah, just for the avocado. And so this is why when you eat avocado, it's very filling because it's fat. Yeah. So it's not to say it's good or bad. It's just about managing portions for someone. Yeah, you're managing portions, correct. So not about cutting out avocado, but not have the whole thing. Maybe have half or a quarter, depending on your goals as well.
For an average person, what would look like a healthy portion? What would look healthy plate of food?
Have you heard of the suku separo?
No.
No, really? So it's literally your plate, your dinner plate. Half of it, you fill it with vegetables, a quarter of it with carbs, and a quarter of it with protein. Yeah. Yeah, that one. Yeah, so that is one of the most underrated tools. It is actually extremely helpful, and you are able to apply it when you eat out. And it can be applied to almost any cuisine as well. Yeah.
It feels like indiscipline is a big factor in controlling portions. So going to that, why do you think it's so hard for some people to go on a diet?
Okay, I think there are a few reasons. If we're specifically talking about like diet and fat loss, right? Like I said, there's only one criteria, which is calorie deficit. And when someone is a calorie deficit, they need to understand that hunger is a normal physiological response to a calorie deficit. Okay, and so this is why the method of how you diet is important. So a lot of people go extreme. They cut a lot of calories, which means that they become extremely hungry. And when you're hungry, of course, it's very hard to sustain a diet, right? So that's one. Yeah. And then also the method of being too extreme with food choice as well. So they tell themselves like, okay, I'm never going to eat ice cream again. I'm never going to eat chips again. I'm never going to eat my nasi lemak again. Come on, how realistic is that, right? So that as well, then people, because when the more you restrict yourself, the more you actually want it. So when you cut it out, you may end up binge eating on it as well. So and this is why people fail on diets also. So the key thing is really to understand how fat loss works. That's one thing, and to manage your hunger during fat loss. So this is why food choice is important. So you want to eat things like your fiber foods, high fiber foods, your lean proteins, because these are the ones that keep you full. They help you manage hunger better. Yeah, so it's really how people go about it. That's why most of it fails. It's also the approach of fat loss is also probably not ideal for them. That's why they struggle to.
For a household, give a short list of something in the pantry that everybody should have to maintain or actually keep on with this level 3. What are the essentials?
Okay, good question. I would say always have some sort of proteins. So it could be tin fish. There's nothing wrong with tin fish as well. Canned food is perfectly fine to have. Just be mindful of things like the sauces and sodiums that's in your canned food. So any sort of tin fish, eggs, oats or rice, bread. Some of these can be kept in the pantry like for long term. So if let's say if there's a day where you come back where you're busy, you need to whip up a quick meal, you can easily prepare a quick meal using these simple ingredients. Really good ones, other ones are also frozen fruits and vegetables. So frozen fruits and vegetables, they keep very well because they're frozen, right? So you can easily defrost, make a simple meal from it as well. So yeah, so these are things where if you don't have time to shop for fresh, these options can really fill those gaps during those times. But foods to be really mindful of is just sauces and oils. Like how much you use in cooking. So it's not about cutting out again, it's just about managing the portions. And also things like nuts. If you want to eat them, it's fine. Just portion it out because when you open the bag, it's very easy to like finish the whole day. Yeah, just munch it and finish it. So yeah, so those are probably the few things to really be mindful of.
So in a way, like you can say you can eat anything.
Yes, just don't overeat anything. Yeah.
Anything. It's about control. You were saying just now when the people get hungry and then they eat, therefore it kind of messes with the dieting and fasting. It almost like you you end up becoming a coping mechanism, and it's counterintuitive. Our general advice you have for those Malaysians that are like, I want to lose weight now. I think I want to try intermittent fasting. What would you want them or tell them first as a dietitian?
Make sure it suits your lifestyle. If you, whatever method you choose, yeah, I would just really say you need to understand how fat loss works first. Choose a method that will suit you. Generally speaking, I would say stick to a consistent eating schedule because that can help to prevent things like mindless snacking, mindless eating. Yeah, those will be the key things. And make sure your food choice is also ideal to manage hunger. So things like high fiber foods, your lean proteins, your whole grains, yeah, these are your fruits and vegetables. These are the ones that will help you manage your hunger a lot better and will help you to stay in a calorie deficit. And the last thing is, of course, don't be too overly restrictive because the more you tell yourself that you cannot eat something, the more you want it.
What's a habit we can all build to practice this all?
I would say have the mindset of thinking about what you need to add to your meals. Look at what is missing and see where you can add first. Yeah.
Just like some sort of awareness to build.
Yes. Yes.
At the end of the day, I feel that the main takeaway is also like control, right? It's not about what you
Yeah. Correct. Correct. It's really portion control. Oh yeah. Yeah.
right. In Japan, they are like one of the people that can live the longest. So how do you feel about their diet, or what thoughts do you have about that?
I think it's also partly their lifestyle. They're much more active. They move a lot more. Yeah, so and I guess their meals are always also very balanced. You see like your carbs, your protein, your vegetables. So yeah, so I think that overall contributes to their health in general.
Eating Japanese food, very tasty food.
Portions.
Oh, sure. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about the timing of eating. Like how much difference does it make if you eat late, you eat climax? But some people they are too busy. Then they are like, oh, I only have my dinner at like 9-10 p.m. And what would you advise around that? Is like, is it something good to continue doing, or it's always better to adjust around it?
Um, there are two ways to look at this. One thing is we know that eating too late at night is not ideal from a metabolic health standpoint. Although we don't know exactly what is like that cutoff point. So again, it's piecing together what we know from research and what that individual can actually do. Because if it's not sustainable, the individual cannot do, then it's also not ideal, right? So um, if let's say a person normally eats at 9 or 10, I'll ask them first, why do you normally eat at 9 or 10? Is it because of work? Is it because of something else? And then see, can you move it a little bit earlier by half an hour or 1 hour? That will be it. And also, whatever timing that you choose, as long as the biggest factor is as long as you're consistent, that is good enough lah. Yeah, for the general population.
But why do people say they don't eat too late? It's not good for you.
I will ask them what aspect is not good. But yeah, okay. Usually the thing about eating too late at night, is not to say that you gain more fat, because like I said, at the end of the day, it's a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter what time you eat, even if you eat late at night. But if you're still in a calorie deficit, you can still lose fat. The only thing eating late at night is an issue is that if it's an additional eating window, meaning to say that it's an additional eating window, you're eating more calories there. And normally at night, at supper time, you're not going to be eating like veggie sticks or fruits, right? You're going to be eating supper stuff, which is usually energy dense, which can add on to the calories for the day. So it's more of this perspective that I feel is a bigger problem, more so than eating late at night itself. Yeah, it's also what you eat, and also thinking about, is this an additional eating window that you should have been sleeping? Yeah, that's my thought.
If I just like, I last time used to eat unhealthy supper foods, still crave, my stomach and my mouth still itchy. that I adapt a new habit of just eating fruits.
Yep.
Or snacks. That's
Yeah, I would say it's fine if it's something fruit based, something vegetable based. Yeah, I would say it's better. But I will still question like, why do you need this slot? Is it? And sometimes people are hungry at night because they don't eat enough earlier in the day. That could be one thing as well. So I normally assess their diet as a whole to decide whether that snack slot should be there in that sense, if that makes sense. Yeah.
actually at the end of the day, but flexible, huh?
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
It be more with diabetes or pre-diabetes, right? What are some food swaps or alternatives to reduce their blood sugar?
Okay, if we're talking about food swaps alone, I would say swapping the refined options to whole grains is good. So things like from white rice swap to brown rice, or even things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, or legumes, they're really good alternatives as well. And essentially just having more fiber foods, your fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, these are the ones that can help you manage your blood sugars also.
But if we eat more of these things, does it help to also lessen the risk of diabetes?
Depends on the individual.
This is a bigger.
Well, genetics is one of it, and then like I said, like, in terms of lifestyle, is the excess fat gain. So the whatever intake someone is having, it must suit that person.
And
Ideally,
come from.
any food, overeating any food. Yeah, yeah. So this is why I don't like to label food as good or bad, because it really depends how much that person is eating. Yeah.
A lot of people tend to say this good, this bad.
Yes, exactly. I don't like that.
Right. I understand. So how can Malaysians manage their blood sugar levels through diet without feeling too deprived?
I would say Malaysians in general probably need to move a little bit more, like exercise. So that's one thing. Manage your portions. So you can still eat whatever foods you normally eat, just don't eat so much of it. So for example, if you want to eat a cake, just probably don't eat the whole cake, share it. Yeah. So it's small changes like that is really not about cutting out, but manage the overall intake. And of course, there are certain swaps that you can make here and there that are better, more ideal. So for example, like roti canai, don't banjir roti canai with like all the kuah. Yeah, so but you can still dip it if you want, right? But you're managing the portions by not banjir, don't banjir your whole roti canai. Yeah, so it's small, it's little changes. And instead, probably if like let's say you're already ordering a roti canai, then teh tarik can it be a kosong, okay? Or if let's say you normally have a fried chicken, can it just be a normal chicken, like not non-fried, like a made tandoori chicken or something like that? Yeah, so it's smart slots, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, we both like to eat our food bunch here. But I do want to go back into a little bit in intermittent fasting. Can you describe what happens to our body when like the process of losing weight starts happening?
You lose fat, that's one thing. Energy levels can change a little bit. If you're in a calorie deficit, you can be a little bit more tired, fatigued. That's why managing the calorie deficit is going to be important. It's not cutting it too low, and also managing the timing of what time you eat as well. This can help to manage your energy levels better while in a calorie deficit, while you're losing fat. So yeah, generally these are probably one of the few changes, and also hunger lah. Like I said, when you're in a calorie deficit, hunger will go up.
Yeah, you don't just it's not as simple as your body sleep down already, because there are other effects like you're gonna get more hungry.
Yeah, you both correct. This is why it's hard. This is why it's difficult. Yeah.
It's the continuous glucose monitoring.
Okay.
Is it effective, or is there any meaning to, like, let's say, track your blood sugar?
In a healthy person, no.
But when is it really necessary?
When someone is probably pre-diabetic or diabetic, then it's probably useful to have that information from a CGM. But otherwise, if you're a healthy person, you actually do not need to do that. And the reason is because there are other factors that can affect your blood sugar levels, not just your food. So things like your stress, your sleep, all of these can affect as well. The problem with CGMs is that sometimes okay, one thing about that is that, first of all, sugar spikes are not a problem in a healthy individual. When you eat food, your sugar will spike. That's a normal physiological response. The important bit is that your body will bring it back down. So in pre-diabetics or diabetics, the body cannot bring it back down. So that's the problem. But in otherwise healthy individuals, no matter what spike, your body will bring it back down. So then the question comes, what does that spike mean? So the spike is not bad. So the problem with using a CGM is that you may eat fruit and you may spike, and then you think like, wow, fruit is bad, I must cut out fruit, right? Yeah, so that's the issue. And also, like I said, other factors can affect it as well. So things like sleep and stress. So sometimes it's not the food itself, sometimes it could spike because of something else. And that will affect your judgment of that food. And that is the problem.